All right, welcome back to another episode of the Water Guy Show.
Yes, sir.
Got Paul here, and we have
Ethan, and we're using different equipment today, aren't we?
different mics.
Yeah,
we're growing up.
Yeah, and they're actually a really cool little setup. I actually kind of like it. I think
They're much easier than the old-fashioned Elvis Presley microphone on a stick thing that you normally have.
Yeah, they're only a few years old.
So the audio should be fanatically good tonight. So I don't even know what episode number we're on right now.
Stand by. I got you.
24?
I got you.
I want to say 24.
Let me pull up the Google here real quick.
I just know that today is middle of June.
Middle of June, dude. The time hasn't felt real recently, to be completely honest with you. It's been kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just weather. I just don't understand how. Well, I do understand. It's based on averages, but we had the wettest. We covered that in another one. The wettest winter in the history of history here, and everybody's like, "Oh, geez, we're not going to have to water the yard this year." And I told them, I said, "Look, all this stuff is based on averages, which means that we are going to probably have a drought."
Yeah.
Just how it works.
We're on episode 23, by the way, so you were close.
23.
You were close.
Super.
Yeah.
All right. Well, today we're going to call this the Guardian of the Tap.
Guardian of the Tap.
I didn't name this one. Actually, Stacy, who was gathering a whole bunch of the background details on this, she named it. So if anybody doesn't like it, you got to complain to Stacy. I'll name them all going forward. But yeah, the Guardians of the Tap. I think it's play on the movie, the Guardians of the Galaxy type thing.
Awesome.
So, the reason that we are talking about today's content is because a couple of weeks ago we had a customer call us up, and she was kind of fanatical. She's like, "Oh my gosh, there's a national boil water advisory. And I just want to make sure that my equipment is going to protect me from that." Right. And our first reaction is, what the heck is she talking about? National boil water? That mean you'd have to shut down every water supply system in the entire U.S. to do that? So, yeah. So we were kind of scrambling going, whoa, how come we didn't know anything about this?
Right.
So we start doing some digging here in the office, and of course, where do you go to first? You Google and the internet.
Right.
And damned if it didn't start popping up with this national boil water advisory. And it was a Newsweek site, and this is one of those things. This is why I don't give citations to places that I haven't fully vetted, because I'm going to be honest with you. Here's how that rolled out. They ran with it, and it flat out said National Boil Water Advisory. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
CDC.
You're on the CDC.
Yeah.
So
CDC.
That just talks about the regular. If you go to the CDC, you'll see boil water advisory.
Right.
But that's not a warning. That's not saying, "Hey, boil your water right now." That's just telling you, okay, if there is such a thing, this is basically how to do it, what it kills, what it's good for, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
But Newsweek went and ran with a little nugget that, it's a valid nugget, but they turned it into this big hype that it really wasn't. Here's the facts on this whole thing. May 20th of this year, 2024, the EPA did issue an enforcement alert. That's what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically, it's an alert that there's some cybersecurity threats and vulnerabilities due to community drinking water systems. And basically the National Security Council and the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, actually headed this up, which is, it's kind of scary when you see that.
Yeah.
And so it's real. That part of this is real. They never issued a national boil water advisory. So those of you that are listening to this wondering, if you're going to die or not because you didn't boil your water, that was not at all how that should have been relayed out there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It seems real sketchy the way they did that one. But
right.
But anyway, the background behind it is that there have been and there are threats to and attacks on the nation's water systems. They have actually been increasing in severity and frequency. So we have been experiencing more cyber threat than ever before. That is true, and they have been targeting the nation's water systems. But to turn that into everybody needs to boil their water, that's really not going to fix anything. We'll kind of talk about that a little bit during the podcast as to what the boil water actually does. But pretty much that was how it started. It's a threat with all the crazy stuff going on. The wake-up call for this whole thing is that if you look at all of the community water systems that are in the U.S., apparently over 70% of them don't fully comply with the Safe Drinking Water Act. So yeah, that alone is kind of a scary number.
Yeah.
More than 2 out of 3 of them fail when it comes to full compliance. And water is a pretty serious thing. Just ask folks that are in drought stricken areas of the country. Well, not now because they finally got some rain over in California.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you don't have water, it's one of those critical things.
Yeah.
Pretty much they're worried about these cybersecurity vulnerabilities. And that may, the old school, the small towns that don't have a lot of the electronics and the stuff that's out there, they're not really as vulnerable to this stuff because a lot of that stuff is all still manual processes. But there's something called SCADA, SCADA, which is the supervisory control and data acquisition. So those are the systems that are used on the bigger, the bigger municipalities. And to kind of sum it up, it's a way of them monitoring all sorts of different parameters at different locations, like pressures and pump speeds and volumes and things like that, so that the computer can help to autopilot the how much water they're getting, how much sewage they're receiving, who needs water, who doesn't have enough pressure, that kind of stuff. But the SCADA system is connected with LAN in most cases, which local area network. I had to really brush up on all my IT nerd side
Right.
to be able to get ready for this episode. But basically, their controls and their monitoring of everything is connected to the internet. And that's where the problem lies. So if you can control remotely pumps and dosing and stuff like that, you could do some really bizarre stuff. You can shut the whole place down. You can overdose, you can underdose, you can make things you can kind of have things blow up if they don't vent or, dump the way they're supposed to. So it's just crazy.
You cripple a region of the U.S. by doing that.
Absolutely. I mean, water. Saw everybody freaked out over toilet paper.
Yeah.
Toilet paper and alcohol during COVID. You can imagine if people didn't have water. So, I guess the next big thing that you would wonder is, all right, well, I'll just stock up on bottled water, right? Well, that's not really the best solution there because you can't store things in bottles indefinitely. And I was actually looking around during prep for this, and there's actually a bunch of, I think they call them like water bricks and aqua bricks, things like that you can store, 3-5 gallons of water in your house. But the reality is that you can't store that. You can't just start stockpiling all this stuff and go down there and have it be good in, a couple of years.
Right.
You actually have, in many cases, it could be, absorbing some of the bottle to the point where it's questionable if you can even drink it safely anymore.
We talked about this in an earlier episode.
Yes.
Yeah. How like the plastics in the bottle break down in the water over time.
They break down, exactly. So if you're going to start stockpiling water, you you better be ready to, think long and hard about the containers. I guess as delicate as they may be, your best bet may be to do some sort of glass containment.
Yeah.
If you're trying to store it up. But, I was thinking about this, and it's kind of like getting ready for a nuclear war.
Yeah.
You're not going to be in whatever situation for probably a couple of days. You're in this for the long haul if something breaks out. Now, a water thing, they may be able to get hands on that within, few hours, few days, few weeks.
Right.
But you never quite know. So if you figure, if you are going to stockpile some water, just try to plan a gallon a person a day, and that would get you through. So it's not the end of the world. If you want a couple weeks worth of water, you store up 15 gallons of water per person, and you've at least got something that'll get you through a couple of weeks. So that's probably a pretty good idea.
Right.
And then dump it and freshen it up, somewhat regularly. But buying bottled water is definitely not the answer, because you can't store that stuff. Actually, I mentioned this on an earlier episode, I think, about I ordered a pallet of bottled water back when I first started this office up here. And we didn't use it. It's still been in the boxes. It's never been in the sun or anything like that. And these bottles, I swear they're only like 2/3 full. So
wow.
Yeah, it's like, where the heck did the water go? They're all like shrunken in, and they look just sickly. So that made me realize, okay, there's definitely some penetration that's happening with the bottles that are out there.
Right.
And it's kind of funny because, funny, not funny, but if you go back in history, bottled water is not safe. It's not like reliably safe.
Right.
Between 1971 and 2006, for example, there were 11 outbreaks here in the U.S. Where bottled water was contaminated and actually caused a lot of health problems.
Wow.
And those are the ones that they were able to directly attribute to those particular bottled water things. Most of the contamination happened at the bottling place. So,
right.
There's been, since 2006, in the last 18 years, there's been hopefully some more quality control. But something that just happened within the last few months, this is I find this funny, because some of I'm gonna get hate mail on this, I just know it, but I don't really care. It's the truth. Fiji water, that fancy water in the square bottle.
I do know that fancy water in the square bottle.
Yeah, they charge a ridiculous amount for it. It's got a nice little picture of like some tropical flower or something on it. Makes you feel like.
And a very nice commercial.
Oh yeah.
People singing from the Eastern Hemisphere of the world. Some cultural song or something like that.
I could see them doing that. I can't say in my my memory that I have seen that recently.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Fiji, a lot of people are like, oh, Fiji, it's the best because it looks like it should be the best. There was actually a recall on that.
Really?
Yeah, just within the last few months. And it wasn't just one bottle. It was 24-pack cases were all recalled.
Oh my gosh.
You can go on the EPA, as EPA or US FDA. It's one of those. I should know that, but this was a couple of weeks ago when I actually dug up all the details on that, because that definitely piqued my interest. But yeah, there was that recall happened. It was issued, and it was issued because they had manganese levels that were excessive, and they had 3 different types of bacteria. Not 1, not 2, but 3. And it's kind of funny because Fiji, they probably wiped it entirely off the website. Because yeah, we're trying to go ahead and pull this stuff up, and
1.9 million bottles of water were affected in this.
Oh, so where was that? Oh, that's on NBC5.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, because if you go to the Fiji website and you do some searching and try to find out more about it, they had scrubbed that whole thing. It was like page not found. They were like, okay, poof, gone. We're going to pretend this never happened.
Interesting. What page was it again?
Choose your size. We're surfing live here because we're going to fact check for you because I know everybody's going to.
They have sports caps? That's kind of cool.
Oh,
I didn't
no.
know they had sports caps.
I'm not a big fan of Fiji water.
That's fair. That's fair.
They have, last we tested them, they had 90 parts per million, if I remember the number, of silica in the water. And, you know, silica could be naturally occurring, but that's a ridiculously high number.
Right.
And I had been told that that was artificially introduced into the bottle.
Really?
And they say, I can't remember their tagline on the side of the bottle, but it says, pristine water with naturally occurring minerals. They make it sound like it came out of the water with the minerals, but they were actually like putting them in on purpose. So it's not. It's just another Coca-Cola with a pretty bottle. As far as I'm concerned, they're just dosing it up.
Disappointing.
Yep. So if you bought the Fiji 24-pack cases, you may want to go see if any of those were, well, you probably drank them by now, but there was a big recall on that. So moral of the story is bottled water is not always the answer.
Yep.
So we obviously, before I go any further here, what is the best answer? Well, the best answer is to have a system in place, reverse osmosis ideally, because that's going to give you the semi-permeable membrane that is basically going to protect you from almost everything that they could put in your water.
And where can the people get one of those systems from, Paul?
They can get it from us if you're here in the greater Richmond area. Actually, we're part of the Advanced Water Systems dealership, which expands into the kind of the southeastern part of Virginia, down into most of eastern half of North Carolina, eastern half of South Carolina, and actually down into Georgia.
Wow.
So you could look up, easy way to do it is look up Kinetico, Kinetico, or just look up advanced water systems around you. But the problem looking it up that way, you scratch that entirely. Don't even look that up, because in my area, there's two other clowns out here that have advanced, they call themselves advanced water systems. So I would hate to try to recommend somebody that's reputable and have you accidentally stumble into some less than reputable companies that may just want to piggyback on our name somehow. You can't really shut down everybody. So, yes, get your own drinking water system. I definitely encourage that, because, back to the beginning of the story, the customer who's already got that system, she asked the question, am I protected? Well, we had to know what exactly she was being protected from.
Right.
So that's what started all of this investigation on what the hell was going on with this boil water advisory thing. And basically, what can they do? Obviously, if somebody were to go ahead and get control of the water processing operation, they can kill power, which of course you don't have any water.
Right.
Or worse, you could have gravity-fed things that just start overflowing. You can't stop them because you can't shut off any valves.
Yeah.
Which is bad, because a lot of these have lagoons of nasty water, sewage treatment. And if that sewage treatment tends to overflow and start to spill back into the areas that they're pulling in your drinking water, now you got turds in your drinking water, and that's not good.
Who wants that?
No, nobody really wants that on purpose.
Yeah.
But a lot of what they do, when people get their tap water in a community type, city water type environment, it's got chlorine in it. And around here, it's got chlorine and ammonia, so that's even worse.
Yeah.
Now, there are specific levels on those, we call them contaminants, because that's what they are. There's certain levels of those contaminants that have to be abided by in order to keep the water safe to drink. So the good rule of thumb is that basically it's got to be dosed the same as a swimming pool, which is, it's good and it's bad, because nobody would really want to drink water out of a swimming pool. But it takes that kind of dosing to be able to actually disinfect that water. But if you had somebody that was in charge of or took control remotely of the levels of chlorine and ammonia being dumped in there, you could have levels that are definitely unsafe. Or, on the other hand, they may just shut that off entirely and start putting water out there that hasn't been sanitized at all. So you could get untreated, you could get overtreated. And, the good thing is with a good system, a professional water treatment system in your home, not one of these sketchy online things that I will throw out names, but there's so doggone many of them right now that it'll look like I'm picking on people.
Yeah.
Basically, you need somebody reputable and local that can basically like stand behind what they're doing.
Right.
And if you've got somebody like that, like us, the stuff that we put in is designed to go ahead and handle overdosing and underdosing. So no matter what, you're covered. So that's kind of the moral of the story there. Your whole house system, if you really get dosed heavily with chlorine, that should be able to protect you. If it's coming in like literally straight bleach, you're not going to turn that into perfect anything.
Right.
But there's no way they're going to be able to dump that kind of concentration into the mix. So the most important thing is your drinking water.
Right.
And the reverse osmosis part of that ensures that we take out pretty much everything that could possibly be put in the water. So she was very relieved to find out that she was covered.
Yeah.
And we were relieved to know that there wasn't a national boil water advisory going on.
Yeah, because that was kind of freaking me out. To be honest, I was like, what about my water?
It was a little odd to hear that. I don't really know how Newsweek took it and kind of ran with what they did.
Right.
But it kind of brings up the point. A lot of people think, and I run into this a lot in houses, they're like, I boil my drinking water before I drink it. They think that that's the magical fix. They think that's going to take care of all this stuff. There's some actual terrifying things that are, if you're on social media, YouTube and TikTok, there are some folks out there. It's so ridiculous to us that people actually believe it, but it happens all the time. A perfect one is actually Stacy in the office here. She saw this lady who has, unfortunately, a large following on TikTok. I believe it was, maybe Instagram, one of those weird ones. And so PFAS, for example, is one of those contaminants that's terrifying because it almost lasts forever. And it's very difficult to remove. It takes special technologies to do it. And this person, this influencer, was telling people, you just put it in the sun and it'll go away. You leave your bowl of water in the sun and it takes the PFAS out. Can you imagine?
Yeah. If that was the case, everybody would be doing that.
Exactly. And it's way deeper. It's way deeper than something that a suntan's going to be able to fix.
Exactly, and we've talked about that too.
Yep. That's a terrifying one. So you have to know what your treatment methods are really going to treat.
Right.
And boiling water, I think we created the problem because whenever there's a water main break, you always hear, boil your water. So people are like, boiling water must make it perfect. Well, actually, boiling the water can make perfect water, but unfortunately all that perfect water escapes as steam.
Turns into steam, right?
Yep. All the crap that's stuck down in the pan is the concentrated solid contaminants that was in the water, and now it's in the water, but even at higher levels because you've boiled off the good stuff. So why do they say boil the water? Well, there's two things that boiling the water can actually kind of help take care of, and one would be gases. If you've got chlorine in the water and you boil it, it's going to boil it off. It's just the reality of the situation.
Right.
So it can help get rid of that. It can help get rid of, we call them VOCs, the volatile organic compounds, which they're just gases. It's an exciting day here.
Yeah.
We're watching. We have this great picture window here at the office.
Such a beautiful view.
And yeah, it's like watching a big screen TV because there's just always police and firemen zipping around to some unlucky soul.
So much activity.
But it just completely distracted my train of thought there. Oh. So you're boiling. There's two things. You have gases.
Right.
That's the first thing it gets rid of. The second thing is boiling the water is pretty doggone effective at killing things that are alive in the water.
Yeah.
So if you've got bacteria, protozoans, parasites, stuff like that, that is most definitely something that boiling the water is effective at neutralizing. But it doesn't actually make the water any better. It just protects you from pathogens for the most part.
Right.
Because when there's a water main break, that means that the water that is normally pushing on the pipe, it broke, and now it has had some intrusion, some funk water. And who knows, it could have been sitting right next to a sewer line, and maybe they both have a crack in them, and now you've got doo-doo water mixed in with your drinking water.
Man, I hate when my doo-doo water gets mixed with my drinking water.
You got to keep the doo-doo separate. That's definitely, priority number one. But yeah, so boiling the water is good for some basic stuff. But you really need purification, and this is something that we talk about literally every single day with every single customer here. And we just try to spread the word.
Absolutely.
But we are at almost halfway through this riveting episode. We're going to take a quick break so you can hear from our sponsors. Don't go anywhere. All right, and this is your sponsor speaking. We're in it because we love what we do, but we're also in it because we love growing the Connecticut family. So if you're in the Richmond, Virginia area, or any area, we just want you to get your water fixed. And Connecticut is by far the best product that's out there. If it wasn't the best, I wouldn't have left a successful corporate career with a big box store to do this full time for the rest of my life, and that's what I do. So that's the word from the sponsor, and back to the show. All right, and we are back. Hopefully your sponsors were good to you.
The sponsors are always good to me.
They're always wonderful here.
Always.
So we were talking about basically all the bad things that can be done by bad actors taking control of our community's water supplies. And you're probably thinking, well, who would do such a dastardly deed?
Who?
Well, there are three main bad actors that have already been identified multiple times. This isn't like they're not on probation. They're so bad that it's just how they do business.
Right.
We have Iran, Russia, and China. Imagine that.
I'm shocked.
Yep.
Goodness.
So Iran, the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, they have all sorts of affiliates out there, as we are probably well aware from all the stuff going on. They basically are they're the men behind the curtain, controlling all of all those crazy folks that want to do harm to all of us that aren't like them. So these scumbags, that's basically the Iranian side. Russia, there's one that came out from Russia, and it was called the sandworm. That's their big claim to fame over there. But there are so many in Russia. Actually, it's kind of funny because, Russia's not stupid. That's where a lot of the cybercrime comes from.
Yeah.
So this is funny, like off-topic story here, but and they're gonna hate me for it, but I was told years ago that this computer, this security stuff, like McAfee, that kind of thing. There's one called Kaspersky, and that's the one that I was told was like the best. Well, all this shit started going down with Russia, and one of my brother-in-laws, apparently, like anybody that had any Kaspersky on their personal or work stuff, I don't know how you could have it at work, but because he's all like high clearance, but anybody that had it even on their personal, they had to completely sanitize. And I was like, oh, well, why is this? Well, because Kaspersky, I just figured it was some American group that, had a real Russian sounding name. No, it's 100% Russian.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so here I am, and the scary thing is that this was the program that I was using to protect all the data, when on my online banking.
Mm-hmm.
They see everything. So who knows how much stuff on me they've already got. So I canceled and uninstalled them, but I just know that they've got all sorts of sleeper cell type things going on in my computer. So I just burn the computer and buy a new one. But
that's a solution.
That's a solution. Yeah. So Russia is scumbag number 2, and then the People's Republic of China. They're the big winners in the scum contest here. They have, some of the top organizations over there. They got Vanguard Panda. I love the panda part of that. They got Bronze Silhouette, Insidious Taurus, Voltsite. They have Volt Typhoon. And then they wanted to get a little bit more creative there. The UNC 3236 and DEV 0391. That just seems like a username that they just ran out of ideas. So yeah, People's Republic of China is definitely winning the scum contest when it comes to coming up with these hackers that are trying to do bad to us. And you might be thinking, well, did they really do anything to us? Well, just here in the U.S., recently, actually, within the last 7 months, in Pennsylvania, the Iranians, they're cyber Avengers, and the first E in the Avengers is the number 3. They want to get all tricky with it. So the cyber Avengers, they're real bad. They mainly target the Israelis because obviously Iran is not a big fan of Israel. So they're doing everything they can to disrupt Israel's water and energy systems over there. But anybody that basically has any support of Israel is a fair game, according to them. And there was this screenshot on the research I was doing, and it basically said that. It said, yeah, if you're a friend of Israel, you are a legal opponent in our eyes. So, kind of crazy. But
interesting.
Yeah, so the Iranians in 1127, that was right after Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, it sure was, wasn't it?
That was a nice Thanksgiving gift. So, and then more recently here in Texas, of all places, on 4/23 of 24, they dumped over 20,000 gallons of water. They took control, and they basically, in 2 hours before they got control again, they dumped 20,000 gallons of drinking water out of their tanks. Now, Texas is there. That's an area that if you start taking 20,000 gallons of water, that's like that can impact a lot of people pretty doggone quickly if you have a drought type situation.
Absolutely.
So they've hit the U.S. Notably in the last 7 months here. So and then going back, obviously the sandworms from Russia, they're one of their favorite targets, I guess, is Ukraine. Go figure. So they've been trying to like disrupt the Ukrainian systems geez, how long's that damn war been going on?
Oh my
year and a half?
goodness!
2 years?
I think it's been about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I was gonna
honestly.
say now
Yeah.
at this point it's years. So they're over there trying to mess with Ukraine pretty bad.
Yeah.
And damn, which one was it? But they in 2018 in South Korea at the Olympics, they were the target, and I can't remember which one of these jokers, the Scum Patrol, did that one. But actually, I think it was the same. It was the Russians. It was the sandworm. Yep, it was the sandworm. So
Russians.
yes, yeah, this is we're getting a little racy here today, and I'm just calling out the
Oh,
facts,
goodness.
folks. Facts don't care about your feelings.
Oh,
It's
no.
terrible, but it's true. I hate using that one. But anyway, yeah, so there are some people that are not very nice, and they want to do harm to us, and they can do, we talked about, the fact they can cut power, they can overdose the water, they can underdose the water, they can create contamination from introducing sewage into the drinking water.
Yeah.
And the Department of Homeland Security had even said that it is not unlikely that they will attempt some sort of contamination, like introducing something into our water, like something physical, not just sitting on a computer screen from a foreign country doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, water is super important, and for places that don't have a lot of it, this is catastrophic.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that is that's the recap, the scoop on the National Boil Water Advisory, how this whole thing started. And here in Richmond, just to make it a little bit more local, this is crazy. One of my guys actually sent me this screenshot that was on TV. I think it was like about 2 weeks ago at this point. And so that was part of pretty much the Richmond system. The Richmond sewer system is called a CSS, a combined sewer system. And this system is actually over 150 years old here.
Oh, wow.
Did you know it was that old?
I did not, no.
It's pretty freaking old. So, yeah, you got an old system that's called a combined sewer system. And you're probably thinking, well, what does it combine with? So, you can see it easily if it's drawn out. But basically, all the turd sewers that come in and they collect everybody's turds, those go down come out of the houses and the apartments and the condos and all the good stuff. They get dropped into a bigger pipe, and the bigger pipe carries them off for processing at the sewage treatment plant. That's it on the left, top left. Yep. So this big pipe doesn't just have turds in it. It's also connected, because remember, it's 150 years old.
Yeah.
Also connected to the storm sewers.
Yeah, I see storm drain,
Yep.
downspouts, everything like that. Yeah.
It's all tied in. And then we have the James River here. So right before the James River, there's like an outlet, but there's a dam in the outlet.
Oh, no, I see.
Yeah, so when it's dry, everything is great. You just have turds. And the turds find their way in and they get processed and nothing really gets into the river. But on those days when we get a whole bunch of rain, now all of a sudden that main pipe fills up and it's got a mixture of rainwater and turds.
You got some poo-poo in your water in the river.
So the turd level rises and the turds start surfing. And they go right over the dam once it gets up that high.
Yep.
You have raw sewage going directly into the James River. So, if anybody doesn't think that's bad, just kind of think about, we're not the only city that's on the James River that pulls all of our water out of it. we're downstream from a bunch of places, and we're upstream from a bunch of places. So if we're sucking water out of there, using that for our drinking water, and for example, Goochland, a couple years ago, they had, might not even been that long ago, they had, I remember it was over 300,000 gallons of raw sewage get dumped into the James. And that was just what they knew about.
Right.
So, yeah, we just sucked that in and sent it on out to all the residents here and said, drink it up, folks. And then we do what we do with it, and the rain comes in, and next thing you know, we dump a bunch of turds, raw, just everything that you would flush down your toilet goes right in the James and goes down to, where is downstream? Hampton?
Downstream of the James.
Got to be Hampton. I feel bad for them if that's, I'm pretty sure that's the next. I know Williamsburg, not 100% sure where they get most of their water from. But I do know that there's a large section of Williamsburg that has high silica levels, which typically means that they're drawing water from underground aquifers. Not that that's any safer, but at least maybe Williamsburg isn't as prone to it, or at least not the parts that I'm thinking of. So we'll have some more details on that dug up later. But yeah, so basically the water that's coming in from these rivers and feeding this whole process, you don't want the mechanisms to be taken over by the sandworms or the pandas over there from overseas.
Right.
That's never good. You want the stuff to be as treated as possible so that you can get it to your house and then take it to the next level.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we actually have a really just got a call about that one. Really old house downtown Richmond, and the house is so damn old that it's got 2-inch copper pipes. So for those of you, try to imagine like the size of your wrist.
Does it also have the lead joints?
I'm sure. Yeah, actually, it has a lead service line going to it. So the city is replacing that service line. But the problem is this house has these walls apparently are like 2 feet thick. And you literally, once it comes in, I can give you the best water in the world. But as soon as we put it right back into the plumbing system of that particular house, I guess it's so bad they've got a lot of pipes, like iron pipes, that are carrying water around, which some genius way back when decided that galvanized pipe is a good idea for water. They thought galvanization was going to protect it, but I'm from outside Chicago, and I would never be shocked when we're demoing an old kitchen or an old bathroom, and we're of course upgrading the piping up there, and the inside of a galvanized pipe, after not even that long, it starts to rust, and it's like you just ate McDonald's for the rest of your, like for 30 years and never left the couch. It's the inside of your arteries. It's like this little teeny pinhole through the middle of it, and people always used to tell us, I've got no pressure in the bathroom. And well, that's what happens when you use metal pipes that aren't designed for that. But anyway, back to the big house. So they've got a lot of stuff like that too. And the dilemma is they can't just change the plumbing on this place, but whenever they run their water, they're getting rust stains on the tubs and the faucets and stuff like that. I don't really know if there's a solution for that other than just literally tearing everything apart. But it's one of those. I brought that up because we were talking about just old.
Right.
But this is a multi-million-dollar house, and they've got plumbing that is so bad that you've got rust stains.
I think I might know what area you're talking about.
Down up Monument.
Yeah.
Well,
like the western side of Monument, right?
I didn't hear exactly. It was one of my guys that was down there, but I guess maybe we should refer to it like Prince. The area formerly known as Monument, because there's no monuments left.
True.
Yeah, I don't really know what to call it anymore. But that's a whole nother show. So,
Goodness.
yeah. So today, the moral of the story is that there is no national boil water advisory. However, there is an official enforcement alert. So get your shit together.
Yeah.
To the 70% of the systems that do not fully comply with the Safe Drinking Water Act. And as people out there, you have got to take your own health and safety into your own hands. Stop pretending that the government is going to, completely protect you from everything that's out there. It's a nice pipe dream, but it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Flint, Michigan is a perfect example. They may try, but that's usually not going to work. So take your future in your hand. Call a professional. Don't trust these online companies. If you can't get somebody to come into your house and show you in front of your own eyes what's going on in your plumbing, and better yet, like what they have done to fix it when it's all done, then don't give them a penny of your money.
Right.
It's just that simple.
Or also if they try to put a magic wire.
Yeah. Oh,
around
yeah.
your piping.
God, another bad. Yeah, you had to pull that cord. No, just today we actually had a magic wire situation.
Really?
Yep.
Still happening, huh?
Yeah, we have we have a competitor. He's not a competitor because, like almost all the rest of them, he's gone under. And it actually shocks me because he's kind of a turd. But he's always done methods that were at least somewhat traditional that actually work, right? It's not the best quality of equipment, but he's using methods that are actually sound.
They
work.
They get the job done.
Get the job done. There's much better ways to do it, and yeah, much more reliable, more professional companies you can pick.
Right.
But we've never run into the situation like we did today where we were on one of his installs and my guy calls me up, one of my techs, and he's like, since when did blah blah start installing magic wires?
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, oh my gosh. He was already not very high on our esteem level.
Right.
But the homeowner, I'm hoping that he or she is wrong, said that he's the only one that did the work, and there's a magic wire installed. So, magic wires don't work. Mm-hmm. There is no such thing as magic at this current time.
No, not yet.
Hate to just shatter the bubble of everybody that believes in magic, but it's what's known as an illusion.
The government's still working on that one.
Yes,
we'll have it in the next 10 years.
And NASA. Yep, you can tap into your pineal gland and get as much magic flowing as you possibly can. Yes, if magic exists, that's where it's coming from.
Yeah.
But magic wire doesn't work. You can't take a wire and wrap it around any type of pipe 64 times and expect it to magically fix the water that it never even touches. Just trust me, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And when I explain it to folks that have one of these things that got suckered, they all have the same reaction. They're like, well, it sounds stupid when you explain it like that. And I said, yeah, because if he'd explained it like that, you probably wouldn't have wasted your money and been scammed.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you got me going about that magic wire thing.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
No, that's good. What else? Something else just happened today. Oh, yeah, and I'm going to not name competitors, but I was out, actually went out on a consultation myself today, which I usually only do if it's a tricky one. Mm-hmm. This was one just because of a scheduling conflict, and this guy was cool, actually. He was military, young, literally had just gotten back from his honeymoon and closed on his house like 3 days ago.
Nice. And
he was just absolutely had this process already figured out on, projects that he needed to get a hold of, get a handle on. And one of them was water. So he didn't really know if he had a problem. He just wanted to call a bunch of people, and I was the third. No, I was the second. I didn't know this at the time. I was person number 2 to go out there. Well, the person before me is a very well-known national name, and there was another one after me, and he's got 2 more coming in next week. But he's already had a conversation with me. Says so far, you're the only one that it's not even a contest.
All right.
The other folks, they're not testing for things that they should be testing for, and they're not being completely forthright and honest on things that they are testing for. So, like hardness, for example, and I hate to say this, but when you tell somebody that you got moderately hard water, that you're trying to sell a water softener, and I get it. We're all under pressure to perform selling units and stuff like that, but we won't ever sell units. It's just not what the customer needs.
Right.
So, yeah, they were telling him he needed a softener, and I go in there, and hardness is rated in grains per gallon when it comes to like residential applications. Then you get an industrial, and it's down in, they call it parts per million, milligrams per liter, same thing. But a grain is a small number, and to basically, let's just say that when you have 1 grain, that's actually like below 1 is considered soft water. Well, this guy had 1.3. So his water was so close to soft water that literally you couldn't really identify the difference. And this other company was telling him he needed a water softener. So part of what we do is we do these consultations, and we do testing in person, and it goes a long way, because they know that we're not just like, oh, here, let me grab a bottle of water and I'll tell you what's in it later. We tested. Actually, I tested it, and I tested it twice, because I was like, doggone it, thinking to myself, I got a 1.3. It's either, this device may be off. I need to double check it with another one. The other one came up with a 1. So I was like, well, that goes to the second one is actually the more reliable. So just the fact that I told him, look, if you almost have perfectly soft water now, will you benefit from a softener? Yeah, but it'll take you 10, 15 years to fully see the difference. So if it was me, I don't know if I would spend thousands of dollars on a good softener right now. I just don't think that I would. But there's other things in your water that you probably want to put your assets toward. So yeah, we talked about the drinking water system, and I was like, yeah, we can put it out in the garage, run the lines underneath to the kitchen sink, and run it to the fridge. And I was like, yeah, and if you get an ice maker in the future, not one of those that just drains all the time, but one of those that makes it as you need it, we could hook it up to that. So it's an awesome universal system. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to get an ice maker, but I'm going to get one of those garage fridges. And he's like, that would be awesome if I didn't have to go back in the house for water and ice.
Yeah.
He's like, but the problem is it doesn't have a water line. I'm like, but we're going to put all of our equipment in the garage. So you tell me where your fridge is going to be, we'll make a water line. So he's so excited about his beer fridge having water. I think that was like the most exciting part of the day. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Like most of our consults, we get a chance to know our customers, and almost probably more of the time is just talking about life and people and
just shooting the breeze with them.
Shooting the breeze, yeah. He's military, and he was definitely type A.
Right.
He's got he's got some sort of top secret clearance. I know that much. And he's the kind of guy that you could just tell he is process driven. He's got everything just detailed out, and he doesn't accept no for an answer.
Right.
I could see that. Hey, we got along pretty well, actually.
Good.
So yeah, I look forward to welcoming him into the family here. But yeah, he told us, he's like, yeah, you're over 250 perfect 5-star reviews, and he's like, I read every one of them. So I was like, wow, that's damn impressive.
Yeah.
So yes, so we're doing something right, and we're not giving up.
Heck yeah.
We're just growing, and we want the family to be big. I want to have multiple locations so that we can serve people even better.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you need water in the Richmond area, check us out. ConnecticutRichmond.com is the website, or the Connecticut Richmond YouTube channel. Or we have the podcast, Water Guy Podcast. Not The Water Guy, just Water Guy.
Which is what you're listening to right now.
You're listening to that, so you already
Yep.
know. And we look forward. Hopefully, you got something informative and fun out of this hour of info.
I know I did.
We'll catch up. Yeah, it seems like this is good for my personal development. But I will we have like 3 more episodes that we've already identified what we're going to talk about. So we got a lot of cool content coming up. So stick with us. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun ride.
Awesome.
Look forward to hearing you hearing us in the future. Thanks.